This is the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast, episode number 9. Hello and welcome to the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast. I'm your host, Karen McCann. The Christmas Movie Screenwriter is a podcast about writing, producing, and selling Christmas movies. You can find any links mentioned on the podcast on my website. Just go to www.christmasmoviescreenwriter.com and look for this episode, which is number 9. A quick few words about what I'm working on. If I finished a rewrite of a script that was a Christmas thriller, however, I think it's better as a pure thriller. So I hope to start sending that out next month. And then secondly, I am rewriting another Christmas script. Originally, it had a lot of action, but I think I'm going to lean into the more rom-com aspects, and I'm happy to say that's going well. And lastly, out of the blue, I received a very nice review for another script of mine called Revenge of the Hungry Ghost, which at the moment is on a website called The Blacklist. The reader had some very nice comments and said my script has lots of potential. And now this script, Revenge of the Hungry Ghost, does have a director and 2 stars attached, so I look forward to telling more people about that next year. In this episode, I collected the best advice of 2023 and compiled it into one episode. Here is the best advice of 2023. In this first episode, Scott Kirkpatrick, Executive Vice President of Co-Productions at Nicely Entertainment, discusses how writers need to pay attention to what the market wants. If you want to break into the industry, don't waste time writing big, sweeping epics. Focus on what genres are in demand. Here is that segment.
First time I would say this, there's a lot more creativity in them than I ever would have expected before I got into this space. When I was, younger and I was getting into this industry, I absolutely, wanted to do these like big, epic, sweeping, types of movies and such. And then once I sort of realized where the real industry was and what the real projects that moved through the industry, I would go back to myself and just say this, like, if you want to break into the film and TV business, there are those big studio projects, yes, but they're very, very, very hard to reach. And
right.
The barriers of entry, all the walls of barrier are so hard to break through. However, the majority of media that is getting produced, like the vast majority of it, is independent. A lot of it's non-union or minimal union, we'll say.
Okay.
And they're very open to new ideas. They're much more forgiving about like lack of experience in terms of like you don't have a ton of titles to your name. And like if you want to get your foot in the door at any point in your life, but especially when you're starting out, the independent space is fantastic. And Christmas movies, last year they produced 172 of them. I mean, that's insane. For like 2.5 months of program, 172, mostly non-union, mostly independent films, mostly under $1.5 million in budget. And a lot of those were written by people who have very minimal credits to their name. So just by looking at statistics,
right,
this space and independent media in general is the best way to like sort of get your foot in the door and build a career. And a lot of younger people, myself included, wasted a lot of time or will waste a lot of time trying to go after the wrong group to get their foot in the door.
You can check out Scott's episode entitled Expert Shares 6 Strategies to Sell Your Christmas Script, where Scott also discusses the Christmas movie market, how writers can stand out from the competition, production logistics, and the importance of personal branding. In the next segment, author and screenwriter Jennifer Snow discusses how she spent too much time avoiding her life calling to be a professional writer. She advises just to admit to yourself what you want and stop wasting time. Here is that segment.
For detours off the path that I know is the right one, I tried everything to not be a writer. I'll be honest. I I'm halfway through a PhD in neuroscience. I've
Wow.
had a bajillion different careers. I'm only 42, and I think I've lived a lifetime of about 10 different people, just trying to avoid it. And then I had my son, and I was on maternity leave, and I had some time, and I thought, I keep denying what I truly want to do, and I have been active in writing and pitching, books for years, and then I just kind of stopped and let everything else kind of take over. And so and then so in that moment I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try to write a book and see if I can get it published, and if I can, then I just gotta just go with it and give in to what I know I've always wanted to do. So I think I would tell myself to stop wasting time and just get there fast.
You can check out Jennifer's full episode, which is number 2, entitled Christmas Magic, Pro Tips for Script Originality, where Jennifer also discusses how to make your Christmas script more original and how Christmas movies with a bit of action are becoming popular. In this next episode, producer, director, industry vet Charles Shire advises on the dangers of saying no too often. Here is that segment.
Well, I turned down a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have turned down. And I guess there was a kind of a cockiness or an arrogance that I didn't have the humility that I have today. But then the business was much different back then, Now it's really hard to get stuff made. So
Yes.
I would be more conscious. I'd just be more careful about saying no.
You can check out Charles's full episode, which is number 3, Real Renegade Breaks Christmas Movie Formula, where Charles challenges the status quo, arguing that Christmas movies don't have to be tied to the holiday season. Instead, they can stand on their own merits. In the next segment, screenwriter, director, and writing coach Paula Tiberius discusses the benefit of having a good work ethic, which will get you established a lot faster. Here is that segment.
Maybe don't party so much. No,
That's a first.
Honestly, I feel like if I had my current work ethic back then, I feel like I'm 52, and I'm finally at the point where I have a ton of stuff in development, and I have interest in things, and I feel like things are actually reaching a tipping point.
Good.
And I do like to think that perhaps if I had spent a little less time partying and or even just being more consistent, like let's say 3 hours a day in the chair writing, absolutely. I feel like maybe I could have been where I am now, like 10 years ago,
Yes.
It's hard when you're young. You feel like you have forever,
But it's also life experience. I mean, that comes through to your writing. You can check out Paula's full episode, which is number 4, How to Make Your Christmas Script Stand Out, where Paula explains your screenplay's unique edge is unusual characters and settings. She also discusses a new app to connect with romance writers and producers. In this next segment, screenwriter Samantha Herman suggests how being more assertive and reading more scripts pays huge dividends. Here is that segment.
But was very shy, would not admit it, would never show anyone her work. And so this business is not made for the timid. And I've, I've kind of graduated into a more boisterous and more overt and assertive version of that. But if I had done it sooner, maybe we would have gotten the ball rolling sooner. So that's what I would say. And also just read more scripts, because I watch everything, but it's different on the page. So I would have started that sooner as well.
You can check out Samantha's full episode, which is number 5, How One Conversation Launched a Screenwriting Career. In the next segment, screenwriter Erin Donahue gives out-of-the-box advice on how writers should set up a passive income stream, being prepared for the long haul, and some good news about how being a screenwriter has no career expiration date. Here is that segment.
Tell me this question. I was like, what advice would I give? And there's sort of two, and the first leads into the second one. And the first one would be invest in real estate.
Okay.
I wish I could go back. Man, if I could go back and invest in real estate when I was younger, and to have that type of financial asset, and it would be incredible, because if you can create, and not like real estate, but like if you can at some point before you embark on this career or while you're doing it, create some level of passive income or another source of income that is not a full-time job, but that is, but can keep you floating in the very long, hard, dry patches, that would be amazing. Because when I, through the years going, before I did this, I was a bartender, I taught English in Japan, I was a nanny, a tutor, I did freelancer, I did all of those odd jobs, I temped on Wall Street, all of those things. And a lot of those jobs they're great for like the short term, but they can be hard sometimes because while you're doing some of these jobs, you don't really have time to write, or it's not enough. Yes. We're working so much that you never have the ability to get your own work done. And so if I could have, I don't know, created some sort of website or servicing that I didn't have to, or that I was more of a side hustle, but that could come in handy when you're financially strapped. Luckily when I have had dry patches or things, like I said, my husband he's a nurse, so he has a regular job with a steady paycheck that doesn't quite keep us floating, but but mostly, Okay. And so so I would say if you can invest in real estate,
that is a great answer.
when you're young, whatever you can do, just invest in real estate, get a rental property, and then you can just have that gaining value and renting it out and giving you some sort of income outside of writing. And that leads sort of to the second part of that strategy and just life strategy, is that just know that you are going to be in this for the long haul, or be in it for the long haul. Be prepared to be in it for the long haul. It is not a overnight success, I'm suddenly a millionaire, I can do whatever I want type of business. Maybe that happens to some people, but even those people, if you're like in 5 years, you're like, where are they now? Like it's ups and downs. It's hits and misses. It's building and building connections, networks. It's stepping up that ladder and sometimes falling down and then having to climb up again. And it's also not the type of career that has an end date, that has an expiration date. You can write a script at 70, and if it's a good enough script, someone can buy it from you. Like you, at any point in your life, if you are still writing and still pursuing it and still going after it, or you could start, you just retired, you're an empty nester or whatever, like, I've always wanted to write a screenplay. You can write a screenplay. There's no, I can see how that with actors or certain careers, it's like, I got to do this now. I got to get in young and all of those things. Yes. If I'm not a success by the time I'm 30, then forget it. If anything, the more life experience you have, the more interesting your script is going to be. And the more material you have to bring to the world as a writer. And so just be prepared for the fact that you stick with it. You have to be persistent. You have to not let rejection get to you. It's not personal a lot of the times. Just, okay, keep going, keep writing, keep rewriting, keep writing, keep rewriting, new scripts, new ideas, keep living also. Make sure you live an interesting life. Because like I said, if you're not living an interesting life, then then that's when it becomes generic and reductive, because you're writing because of the other Christmas movies you've watched and not because of your own interesting lived experiences or your friend's experience or something you saw. That is the material. So make sure you live an interesting life.
You can check out Irene's full episode, which is number 6, Festive Freshness, Elevating Christmas Scripts, where Irene also discusses infusing your personal experiences into scripts for a unique perspective and ways writers can generate passive income. In the next segment, producer, writer, and film exec at Hybrid, Peter Sullivan, gives advice on the benefits of challenging the Christmas genre by using fresh, innovative storytelling. Here is that segment.
Overall, I'd say I had the, I think I'm pretty proud of what I've done. There's not a whole lot I would do differently, because one of the things that I am most proud about is consistently breaking the mold, over the years. Starting with the first Hallmark movie I ever directed, Christmas Under Wraps, yes, that has become the cliche. But back then it wasn't. Mm-hmm. They we were at the forefront of that, and so we kind of in a way that film and its imitators had a lot of influence on that. But back then it was new, it was different. And I did another movie for Lifetime that I still get a kick out of, called Dear Secret Santa, which I mean, talk about really outside the box. We were doing a Christmas movie about the theory of wormholes and time travel and alternate dimensions. We were doing Christmas movies about the multiverse before anyone knew what the multiverse was.
Wow.
This was 10 years ago. Almost 10 years ago we were doing this movie. We were doing diversity and casting, long before it became an industry mandate. And I'm very proud of the films that we've done over the years, pushing the genre in different ways. I've done movies that were almost musicals, which is very unique and fun. And I've gone from a world where literally an executive said, we don't want songs in our movie, to doing a movie that was almost a musical. So I mean, I've seen this genre grow and expand. So my advice to my younger self would be to really continue to challenge the genre and don't become so complacent that literally your script just become ad libs.
Exactly.
A blank from big city blank opens a blank in a small town called blank and falls in love with the blue collar blank who helps her to overcome blank. I mean, that's not gonna.
We've seen that. We've been there, done that, and got the T-shirt.
Yeah, I got the exactly.
You can check out Peter's full episode, which is number 7, Differentiating Your Christmas Script. In this last segment, screenwriter Ainsley Gordon advises that you shouldn't set unrealistic expectations and to give yourself a break. Here is that segment.
You're doing great. I think I struggle with wanting everything to happen perfectly right now. Like my first book, I was like, this has to be a New York Times bestseller. I need it to top the charts. It's going to be the thing. And then I started getting feedback on it. It was like, yeah, you're writing strong. Your voice is really good. But this is kind of a simple book. And, we'd like to see something a little more heightened and elevated. And I was ready to throw in the towel and be like, I'm the worst,
No.
So I think being easier on yourself. Also, everything doesn't have to happen right now.
Right. Exactly.
You can enjoy your life a little bit. You can go buy pumpkins and walk to the coffee shop.
You can check out Ainsley's full episode, which is number 8, Brighten Christmas Scripts with Pop Culture, where Ainsley discusses how to get distributors to reveal what they want, plus how pop culture will make your script shine. Well, that wraps up 2023. Thank you for listening. To show your support, please give us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcasts. And please spread the word on your socials. The more folks that discover the podcast, the more experts we can attract to the show. So it's a win-win for everybody. And sign up to be notified of the launch of our membership website to connect writers, producers, sales agents, and distributors of heartwarming Christmas movies. Sign up at www.christmasmoviescreenwriter.com. Thanks for listening. Bye.